Tired of losing to Psychic Terrain teams? Use these tips to always ensure your victory. Psychic Terrain teams is a very cheesy team strategy that lower ladder and higher ladder players employ to try and score quick wins against unsuspecting opponents. How many times in your life have you played your best and gone toe-to-toe with them and just lose at the very end to one of their various tools that they possess? Today folks, we're going to just learn about Psychic Terrain and how to defeat it from the underused tier and down below. Before we get into how to destroy Psychic Terrain, we need to understand what are the elements of a Psychic Terrain team. And I've marked them down as follows. Number 1 is the Indeedee Psychic Terrain Setter with Terrain Extender. This will always be bread and butter Psychic Terrain Setter in Generation 9, as it is the strongest Psychic Surge Pokemon. Next on the agenda are Focused Sash Abusers. These are Pokemon that do not mind getting to 0 HP because of Psychic Terrain's protection to priority moves, giving them the opportunity to boost into the high heavens without fear of getting picked off when they are on their last legs. Another element of Psychic Terrain teams are the Speed Demons, as I like to call them. Lucha loves to come in and double its speed, and Deoxys' speed is already so monstrously fast without any boosts. So outspeeding Pokemon is a very important part to trying to KO the opponent's Pokemon. And when your Pokemon can instantly have speed stats that are higher than the entire metagame, it's a big plus. It saves you a lot of time in having to set up your speed or hope that they do not have a faster Pokemon. Next we got the Expanding Force Spam. Psychic Terrain teams love to pair up a lot of strong Psychic types to get Expanding Force, which gets boosted in the Psychic Terrain. It's a very powerful move. Pomarouge, Indeedee itself, Deoxys Speed, even get Iron Crown, which learns Expanding Force. Expanding Force Pokemon, guys, we have to be aware of. Also, going hand in hand with the Focus Sash core is the Tidy Upper. There will always be a Tidy Up Pokemon in a Psychic Terrain team. Psychic Terrain teams tend to go out of their way to make sure that hazards are not on the floor, as the majority of their Pokemon actually end up needing hazards off the floor so they can function properly. And those are just some of the basic elements of a Psychic Terrain team. Now, how to beat a Psychic Terrain team? It might sound like there's a lot of things you need to take care of, and you only have 6 slots in your team to hopefully beat these things down. Alright, now that we understand the tools that Psychic Terrain uses, what elements they possess, we can break it down on how to defeat them without going completely out of your way to just be safe versus Psychic Terrain. First step is the use of phasing moves, preferably Dragon Tail. Phasing moves ensure that Pokemon that get their boost upon switching, such as Lucha, Pokemon that get boosts when they are touched or need to set up to sweep your team, do not get the opportunity to do so. If you look at the example of Poltergeist, it needs to Shell Smash. If you Dragon Tail, breaking the sash and phasing it out, there's no Shell Smash and you can threaten it with a one-hit KO the next time it comes in. Another reason I say preferably Dragon Tail is because Dragon Tail is a phasing move that is untauntable. You cannot block it with taunt, only with typing. And there are no fairy types that can abuse the Psychic Terrain turn 1. Second element that you might need is you need the Steel type. You need your Expanding Force switch-in. Psychic Terrain does not last forever, so the power of Expanding Force will not last forever. Pokemon such as Metagross, which 4 times resists an Iron Crown in the UU tier, which also an Iron Crown in the underused tier, which also 4 times resists Expanding Force, are good ways to ensure that you can slow down the momentum of Psychic Terrain. Vandabuzz is also a Pokemon with incredible defensive prowess and it is completely immune to Expanding Force and potentially a subsequent heavy hit. Using Pokemon that resist the Expanding Force or are immune to it is a good way to ensure that Psychic Terrain is shut down. As we discussed, Psychic Terrain likes to sometimes go out of its way to ensure that Stealth Rocks will never be put on the field with a Magic Bouncer. Using unblockable rocks from Pokemon such as Tinkaton or Excadrill is a good way to ensure that potentially the Sash Pokemon will have their Sash broken on switch-in. And if you can even get play your cards correctly, it can put the Tidy Up Pokemon in a perilous position to not have the opportunity to click Tidy Up. Another element of Psychic Terrain that you can crush is, since Tidy Up is a move that is unblockable and will probably happen at one point or another in the game, what you should do is shut down the Tidy Up Pokemon. Having a Pokemon that the Tidy Up Pokemon simply cannot beat is a good way to ensure that the Tidy Up will be more of a punishment than progress for the opponent. Pokemon such as Pecharunt can completely stonewall the Tidy Up Pokemon that are in the game. Any Rocky Helmet Pokemon can also invalidate any Tidy Up Pokemon that's in the game as well. Another thing that is worth mentioning, Psychic Terrain spam relies on the Psychic Terrain being up. If you have the opportunity to score a surprise KO on the Psychic Terrain setter, Indeedee, it can disrupt the team's play and plans tremendously as they are working on a fixed timer. Getting rid of the Psychic Terrain can invalidate the power of Expanding Force, the power of speed demons in the team, such as Lucha. On a more defensive note, using disruption tactics such as taunting and encoring on a Pokemon that can take on the Psychic type is a good way of flipping the script and ensuring you are the one with the time to manage the position and to put your own Pokemon in a winning position. Pokemon such as Tinkaton can ensure this. And lastly, using Unaware. Most of the Psychic Terrain Pokemon that need setup to win struggle if the opponent is unaware. Poltergeist and Pokemon such as Lucha completely stonewall if there's an unaware Pokemon that is relatively healthy, alive and well, ensuring that their sweeps are cut short. All in all folks, Psychic Terrain is a very delicate team style. If one of the pieces do not perform, the dominoes tend to fall quite quickly. If the Lucha sweep gets cut short, Expanding Force guys in the back might not be able to pull through. If the Indeedee drops early, they might not have enough time to use the Expanding Force guys to the best of their ability, and they might fail. If they pull off the Tidy Up but the subsequent Pokemon gets Dragon-tailed out, losing its sash, there goes the entire Pokemon's strategy. Also, one last side note that I forgot to mention, simply just outspeed the opponent. There are many Pokemon that do not require Psychic Terrain that outspeed +2 Armarouge, +2 Poltergeist. An example being Iron Moth and Choice Scarf Greninja. Iron Moth outclasses the Deoxys in speed as well. After a booster energy boost, it beats Iron Crown. So what's not to love? Outspeeding them with the relevant Pokemon that can run a Choice Scarf just to ensure some safety. Or a booster energy Pokemon that will guarantee be faster than these monsters on the Psychic Terrain teams. That's another way that you can use to ensure that you do not get beat easily by these teams. And lastly, I want to mention that yes, there's a lot of ways and means that you can use to beat Psychic Terrain teams, but not all of them on the same team is possible. Even just having 2 of these elements is enough for you to plan and play properly and ensure that you have a fighting chance full of an easy victory against the Psychic Terrain cheese. Folks, if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. One of those shorter form content videos again. I know that the people tend to like these ones a lot better than the Showdown lives. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you think? You think Psychic Terrain is actually quite stupid? It's a bad playstyle and just fools lose to it? You think that the points I made were relevant? How do you beat Psychic Terrain if you face it? Is it easy for you or do you struggle versus it? I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. But until next time folks, as always, thanks for watching and we'll be U-turning out.